Hey everybody, how's it going? Today we're going to be checking out Tree of Savior again. So this is, you know, the second time we've played this, and to continue the story here, we left off with a level 11 wizard here, Sharkeisha, our character. I was so hyped to play this. Finally got a chance to sit down and just to see if it was, still going to hold up to my initial first impression, which was overall pretty good. Um, so I tried to take a little bit of a break in between so that I'm not playing it back to back and kind of burning out on it. But kind of on my downtime, I've been kind of revisiting or trying to get back to this. And when I finally got a chance to hop back in, I remember what was so, I don't know, rewarding about it. And I haven't even gotten to group play yet. So this is, just me kind of covering, going through. I'm going to go ahead and skip forward here. We're trying to complete a quest. And so these tooltips that keep popping up are, I guess they're helpful at first. There's so many layers to this game. Um, there's so many stats and everything that you can allocate points to, and um, the questing is okay. There's a lot of foot travel. I don't know. Maybe it's just the porting and language barrier that kind of gets me, but uh, I'm still kind of learning the interface as we're kind of burning through this. Um, so you see, I'm just trying to complete some quests and trying to earn some levels and get a little bit more experience with the combat before I do anything else. And um, yeah, haven't it feels like a fairly traditional, fairly familiar MMO play style, right? You do quests, you level up, you kill mobs, you gain levels. Combat still feels really, really good, holds up really well. Killing these things, and I think it's a combination of the effects, the screens, and just the projectiles having such good impact, and even your abilities, you just feel so powerful kind of casting them, which is one of my favorite parts of Tree of Savior. So you can kind of see me here. I'm kind of going through, start farming mobs, not because I need to, but because almost I want to see. Like it's something kind of addicting about blowing up just a mob of little creatures, and even the fact that when you level up, you kind of just blast everything that's on your screen is a nice little touch that it did. It's nothing overpowered where it kills everything, but it's still impactful enough where I'm drawing aggro from all these mobs, and uh, one of my first times casting earthquake there, which is actually really, really neat. Ended up getting some items, which is really cool. Fast forward this, and you can see I'm just going through, kind of blowing up all these mobs as we're going through the area. So the combat still feels really, really good. I'm still leveling up my wizard. So the way I've been allocating stats has been, for every 2 points of intelligence, I try to allocate one point each to strength, and I think it's constitution. No, I'm sorry. Um, Strength and spirit. So mana regen, um, and mana pool. So there's hit point, and hit point regen is the same one. I believe that's in the strength category. Intelligence is how much damage I deal with spells or with magic effects, abilities, including my basic attack. Since I'm intelligence based, I'm a wizard. And then you have your resource gain, resource regeneration stat. In my case, it's spirit. And so, I've been divvying up a single point in spirit and constitution. I'm sorry. Spirit and constitution for every 2 points of intelligence, right? So if I'm at 14, they both should be at 7. So now that they're 8, I'm going to bump intelligence up to 16 the next chance I get. I finally got a chance to, as I'm playing through, I'm trying to improve my items. The one, I guess, kind of feedback I have, and maybe it's just I'm just too early in the game, is obviously the rule of thumb for MMOs is you do not buy anything from the auction house until late game. So since even though you have access to the auction house, it just isn't very economically feasible to try to buy items early game So the vendors don't seem like they hold much value early game. They're not very valuable to you other than to just dump your garbage loot that you don't have, right? For whatever chump change you can get, and then slowly build your wealth. But I don't know. I'm so used to it. Doesn't mean that I like it that way. I'm just so used to it because that's how so many traditional MMOs do it. I kind of wish they had a system very much like, I don't know. I always felt like Guild Wars did a pretty good job, even though they had like a global auction house. I felt like I was still able to sell and short order items and you know, um, recoup some costs, or at least make some monetary gain by playing the auction house, or at least keeping an eye and being active in the auction house with items that I get. Um, blues and greens too, if you know how to work the auction house in Guild Wars too, if you know what I'm talking about. You can benefit quite a bit and save up for what you do need, and you are able to buy items. It's just, and maybe that's part of the game too. It's a little early. I haven't been able to use it. I just wish games made auction houses more useful and vendors more useful. And then obviously I've seen games that actually do a really good job of making vendors various levels and kind of scale with the players, so they only offer certain items at certain levels, and they can kind of keep a nice little like soft gate in there, and kind of keeps the vendors kind of relevant, I guess, is my only feedback point. So I'm going to fast forward through this. This is just me trying to get to the quests, talking to various NPCs, killing a bunch of mobs, rinse and repeating that. Combat, if you notice, I've kind of stopped in here quite often, and it's because I really, really enjoyed the combat in here. Here I see some live players going around. You don't really interact with them, it's a double-edged sword. A part of me is kind of like, oh, so you're kind of in your own little like silo, your own little like microscopic quest line right now, as in getting introduced to the game. I haven't had much interaction with actual players. Not much teamwork happening here for a game that's marketed as an MMO RPG. It's really just an RPG with people around you. That's what it feels like. You know what I mean? It's not an MMORPG in the sense of like a Guild Wars or WoW, where other players can affect the gameplay as much. And that's just kind of what my impressions are, and that may very well change once I get into the higher levels. But he's got some quests here. I think the boss fights are kind of funny. They're shockingly easy right now. The first few that I have, I get it because the moves are easily telegraphed, but there is not too much strategy involved right now when you're fighting a boss. It's kiting. If you can kite, you're good. And your spells are so strong that it doesn't take much effort to beat bosses. Here I'm just kind of helping out the various quests, or NPCs out by completing quests, and then just kind of racking up the experience points. I eventually get to unlock I eventually get to unlock my like second class. So I believe I become it's like an Ember Mage. I forget the terminology that Tree of Savior uses, but it's essentially a Fire Mage, which is a subclass or a specialty of the Wizard. And that was pretty cool, because then you get a little outfit that goes with it, and you unlock some new abilities, and then you get to allocate more points as you level up, which is really neat. So here I'm completing quests. Constantly checking once I'm leveling up to see what my stats are. So yeah, I get it here. I'm getting to choose the Pyromancer, and it tells you, and you can check out, do you want to double down on the Wizard? They call it like Circle, which is basically like you're ascending to a different tier of the same class, which you're more than welcome to do. I just wanted to try out a different subclass, specialty I should say, and I chose Pyromancer for that. I got hit on the outer ring of that. I was slow to telegraph that. got a little impatient and just decided to just focus him. But like I said, it wasn't, even getting hit on the outskirts of that shot didn't really phase me, didn't really make me afraid. But I do like that nice little touch, although it's kind of a cop out to like teleport back to the quest giver. I do kind of like that. I mean, maybe I don't know, maybe that's a Care Bear thing to say and say like, oh, I like them teleporting me, but it does save you kind of the running time, and it's a good compromise because as of right now, I'm not fast traveling everywhere just yet. There is a fair bit of travel and running and checking out the environments because the art style is very unique, and it's very nostalgic for probably gamers of my generation, if you've been exposed to these old school kind of like console RPGs, back in the classic console days, Nintendo, Super Nintendo, stuff like that. Very, very cool. I really, really like that. It was tough kind of choosing what abilities, so I'm kind of here in the process of kind of reading what the abilities do and then just carefully selecting them, because it's like, where do you want to start allocating points to, right? So I decided to go with the Pyromancer. It was pretty sweet. Fire-based attacks, mainly dots. That was really, really appealing. One thing I did notice about the gear here, the gear drops are almost all identical stat-wise. There's very minimal kind of variance. You can see there's some variance. There's some variance in the armor, slight variances, but honestly, like, I haven't really noticed too much of a difference. Here I find my costume, and I'm like, oh sweet, you did equip a costume, that's cool. And I'm slowly building up my character. I guess they do kind of do a good job trickling in items, that way you're not just bombarded with too much loot right off the bat. You can kind of appreciate the loot a little bit more as we're going. So here I'm kind of allocating my stat points, and then we're just doing a little bit more quests, testing out the new abilities, and we get to see what the Pyromancer looks like, right? So here I finally got a wooden staff. I got all excited, but then I was like, oh man, slightly increase AoE attack ratio for slightly weaker damage, and a lot more weight. Is it worth it? And I was like, nah, it's not worth it to me, but who knows? So here I'm equipping my pet with some armor and some weapons. Don't know what it does. Don't even know if my pet kind of can actually use the stats. I'm sure there might be some like pet armor you can get eventually, but currently you can equip human armor onto your pet, and I don't know if it just behaves as a storage or you can legitimately affect the stats of your pet, because it's literally like changing the attack and armor stat of my pet, which is pretty interesting. Here I finally figured out how to bring up this menu for my pet. And I'm literally petting my pet, and then I couldn't figure out how to dismiss it, but then I finally figured it out that if you hit escape, it dismisses your pet menu. Otherwise your pet literally runs around with this menu kind of joined to your pet here. Yeah, we're just testing out spells here. Here we got Earthquake. I've got this like Ring of Fire, which is an AoE fire spell. I forget what it's called, or the name of that spell specifically, but yeah, I don't know. It's pretty straightforward. I mean, this isn't anything groundbreaking. It's a fire mage. It's what you would expect from a traditional MMORPG, or an RPG, I should say. This is pretty cool. I do like I was so excited to get this like quest item, because it was like almost double the power that I had for mine, and so that was really, really cool. So some of the rewards for the quest just seem very rewarding. I think that's another really cool point of Tree of Savior. So for me, one of the biggest points of attraction for me so far to Tree of Savior is, if you're kind of an old school RPG player, you would like something like this. It's pretty neat. It's very, the nostalgic factor is real in this game. So I don't know. I enjoyed it. I'll continue to be playing this, but I just wanted to quickly recap and show you guys what I kind of did. There's no need for me to really drag on this video longer than it already is, and you guys can kind of see my character progression here. I went from level 11 to level 17, and the one cool thing in the I guess the indication that this is a fun RPG to play is it's a major like black hole, like a time warp game. It's like one of those games where you play and you blink, and then next thing you know, you look at the clock and it's like 2-3 hours later. And it seemed like you just played for like 15-20 minutes. That's how a game is pretty good and immersive enough to keep you occupied enough to make you not realize what time it is. So just thought I'd go ahead and share that with you guys. My so-called second impressions and continuing of Tree of Savior. And you can see here I'm just fucking wrecking that boss. He hardly gets a chance to cast anything on me, but all these small potions I don't even use. I probably could just start using them, but yeah. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Just thought I'd share that with you guys. Thank you guys for the support. I appreciate you guys stopping by, giving me comments, feedback, even criticisms appreciated. I'm always trying to improve this channel. People seem to respond decently to the games I've been playing on the downtime, but I'm going to continue to focus my efforts towards just a couple of titles that I'm spending my time, because just like you guys, our time is pretty valuable, and we want to be very particular about how we want to spend our time. So I'm going to try to focus in, I think, the channel on a few key items. Right now it's currently Crowfall content. Now that I have a practice team in place to be able to do some PvP and share some PvP content with the new discipline skills. Or it's Tree of Savior, where I'm kind of doing my own thing and kind of playing an old school RPG. Maybe I might focus on those two things until we complete Tree of Savior and see what late game takes us, and we'll kind of play it by ear. But all right, guys, thanks for swinging by. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and thank you for the support once again. Tomorrow is, what day is it tomorrow? Tomorrow's Thursday. I'll most likely be casting and doing some comments. This is OBS. Ooh, excuse me. Apologize for that. It said OBS stopped working for a second, so maybe I got DC'd. Hopefully the video's turning out all right. Anyways, thank you guys for the support. I really appreciate it. Tune in tomorrow for some Crowfall content, PvP content if you guys are interested. Otherwise, I'll try to capture a little bit more Tree of Savior. Maybe we'll do a double feature bonus, some Tree of Savior and then some Crowfall. So we'll see what the time allows. Crowfall is going to be priority number 1, and if I have time, maybe I'll do some more Tree of Savior. But I appreciate you guys, and we'll catch you guys later. Peace out.